Hey friends, it's Emily from Burlap Kitchen. I was at Walmart last night and I saw these embroidery hoops and I just got the cutest idea, so I had to come home and make it. So you're going to need 2 embroidery hoops, but the one circle here with the hook you're not going to use, so set that aside for another craft. And we're going to begin to just put these together and slip them one inside the other so it sort of resembles a pumpkin. Leave that one with the clamp on top. That way you can clamp everything down. Now I did put glue in certain spots just to kind of hold it all together. I used stick fast at the beginning and then I just went around with my hot glue anywhere where the 2 ends met and glued it, secured it with that glue. So once I got that done, I moved over to some cardboard and I found a jar that was about the same size that I wanted it to be. So I just traced that and then a tea light onto some cardboard, and then I cut those out. And just to make sure they fit, you want to make sure especially that little round one with the tea light fits before you move on. So just make sure that fits. I did have to trim mine down just a hair. So once I got those pieces trimmed down, next I'm going to go over to my toasted terracotta paint, and we're going to go ahead and paint this thing orange because we, if you have not figured it out already, are making a pumpkin. So once I get that done, I just started with the paint. Make sure that you paint inside. Make sure you get the insides, the edges, all of that. And then you're going to want to paint your cardboard pieces as well with the orange. Now that everything is dry, I went ahead and just glued that pumpkin onto the bigger cardboard, and then that little piece of cardboard I glued inside the pumpkin. And then to hide that bottom piece, I just wrapped some of the Spanish moss around. Sorry, I wanted to say raffia, but it's not raffia, it's Spanish moss. So I just wrapped that around. And then I took some of this wire and just looped it around my hand a couple times we're going to make a stem with this. And then I just trimmed the top of it, but I left the bottom looped because I just slipped it over top that clamp and then just sort of wrapped it around. And then I did secure that with a little bit of glue also. Now I'm using some Mod Podge and I'm just randomly putting some here and there. We're going to grunge this up a little bit. So we're just adding it random spots throughout the pumpkin, and then we're just going to sprinkle on some cinnamon. Once you get your cinnamon sprinkled on, you're going to want to shake it off. I used my blow dryer to kind of blow the cinnamon out of the Spanish moss, and then I did glue that back in place. So now I'm going to use some fabric. I cut down some fabric and then some greenery I'm going to glue to the bottom of the stem. You don't really have to paint that metal part because we're going to hide it all. And then I used some more of the wire and just wrapped it around a pen to make the little tendrils. I'm probably saying that wrong. And just wrap those around. And then we're going to make a little bow here with our fabric. I just went with a real simple bow for this one and glued that in place. Once I get that glued in place, I decided I need a little something. So I got these buttons at Walmart and they're really cute. They have really pretty colors in, like browns and greens, perfect for fall. And then I'm just going to make a tag. I'm just using some brown craft paper and just cutting that down to resemble a tag. And then I'm using my Sharpie extra fine point marker to write fall. And I do add the little dots just because my handwriting isn't the greatest. Then I just crumbled this up a couple times. And then we're going to use some antique wax and just go over it with a baby wipe just to give it that rustic look. Make sure it's dry. Then I use some of the Dixie Belle antique wax over top of that, the black. Just added a little extra grunge. And then I just glued that in place with a button. And then I did glue my greenery down to the side so it wasn't sticking straight out. And then I just added these tea lights that I got at Walmart, and this project turned out absolutely adorable. Let me know what you think of this one if you plan to give it a try. Thanks so much for watching.